When women lead with grace, the world does not just witness leadership, it experiences transformation. Grace is not weakness, it is strength under control, kindness in the midst of chaos, and compassion amidst challenges. True leadership is not about dominating, but about elevating others. A woman's grace allows her to carry both responsibility and empathy, power and humility, courage and softness. History shows us that the most influential leaders are not the loudest, but those who inspire with gentleness and win hearts with understanding. Leading with grace means responding with patience when provoked, standing with dignity when challenged, and extending kindness even when wronged. The world desperately needs this kind of leadership, where decisions are made with wisdom, where people feel valued, and where progress is measured not just by success, but by the impact on human lives. When women lead with grace, families flourish, organizations thrive, and societies rise to higher standards of compassion and integrity. Grace in leadership is the art of balancing firmness with kindness, where one can correct mistakes without crushing spirits and guide others without making them feel small. True leadership is never about creating fear, it is about cultivating respect. When a woman leads with grace, she has the power to correct someone in such a way that they walk away not feeling insulted, but feeling encouraged to improve. This is the beauty of grace. It is a gentle strength, an unseen force that transforms not by breaking, but by building. A leader who lacks grace might achieve temporary compliance, but a leader with grace achieves lasting loyalty. People do not remember every word of instruction, but they always remember how a leader made them feel during correction. When mistakes happen, and they always do, a graceful leader chooses words that uplift, tone that heals, and actions that strengthen confidence rather than shatter it. I imagine an environment where errors are not punished harshly, but are used as stepping stones to growth. Such an environment naturally produces more creativity, courage, and commitment. Grace means you do not let go of standards, you hold them firmly. But the way you uphold those standards is through dignity, patience, and compassion. People are more willing to change when they feel respected rather than humiliated. Grace is not weakness. It is wisdom in action, knowing when to be firm and when to be gentle, when to correct directly and when to inspire indirectly. It is the ability to use strength not as a weapon, but as a shield that protects and as a ladder that lifts. This balance of firmness with kindness is what turns authority into influence. Anyone can demand obedience, but it takes grace to earn genuine commitment. A leader with grace does not just say, "Do better." She shows, "You are capable of better." And in that moment, the person being led feels dignity instead of shame, hope instead of fear, and confidence instead of doubt. That is why grace in leadership creates not followers, but believers, people who believe in themselves, in their leader, and in the vision they are working toward. A woman's grace is reflected in her ability to listen deeply, not just to words, but to emotions, making people feel seen, valued, and understood, which builds trust and loyalty. Listening may sound simple, but in reality, it is one of the rarest skills in leadership. Many hear, but very few truly listen. True listening is not waiting for your turn to speak. It is giving your complete attention, your heart, and your presence to the other person. When a woman leads with grace, she does not just hear the content of what is being said. She hears the pauses, the hesitations, the tone, and the unspoken words that carry someone's real feelings. This kind of listening creates a safe space where people feel free to share not only their successes, but also their struggles. And when people feel safe, they grow, they open up with honesty, they work with sincerity, and they develop a loyalty that no amount of authority can ever buy. Graceful listening is not about solving every problem immediately, but about giving someone the dignity of being heard. Sometimes, just being heard is enough to heal a wounded spirit or strengthen a discouraged heart. When a leader listens deeply, she shows respect, and respect multiplies into trust. Trust is the invisible glue that holds relationships, teams, and communities together. Without trust, even the best plans collapse. With trust, even the hardest challenges become bearable. A leader who listens gracefully not only understands people better, but also makes wiser decisions because she considers perspectives beyond her own. Such leadership is inclusive, compassionate, and inspiring. People may not always remember the exact advice given, but they will always remember the comfort of being understood. That memory builds an emotional bond that strengthens commitment. In contrast, when leaders fail to listen, they create walls of distance. And distance eventually leads to disconnection. But when leaders listen with grace, they build bridges strong enough to carry dreams, challenges, and collective growth. This is why deep listening is one of the most profound expressions of grace in leadership, for it dignifies others while silently elevating the one who listens. In the leadership with grace means handling conflicts with calmness, turning confrontations into conversations, and disagreements into opportunities for growth. Conflict is an unavoidable part of life. Wherever there are people, there will be differences of opinion, misunderstandings, and even clashes. But what sets a graceful leader apart is not the absence of conflict, but the way she manages it. Instead of reacting with anger or defensiveness, she chooses composure. Calmness is her strength. When others raise their voices, she lowers hers. When emotions run high, she grounds herself in patience. This presence diffuses tension even before words are spoken. A graceful leader understands that conflict is not always a threat. Often it is a doorway to deeper understanding, better communication, and stronger bonds. She listens, not to argue, but to uncover the truth hidden behind frustration or disagreement. By doing so, she transforms an argument into a dialogue where instead of attacking one another, people begin to explore solutions together. This requires wisdom to separate the issue from the individual, to disagree with ideas without disrespecting the person. Grace in conflict means that dignity is preserved even in the heat of disagreement. And when dignity is preserved, relationships remain intact, making reconciliation possible. Moreover, a graceful leader looks at every conflict as a chance to grow, personally and collectively. She sees beyond the immediate discomfort and asks, "What can we learn from this? How can this make us stronger?" This perspective changes the entire energy of conflict, turning what could have been destructive into something constructive. People under such leadership feel safe expressing themselves, knowing that even if their views differ, they will not be shamed but respected. That safety nurtures creativity and innovation, because new ideas are born in environments where differences are welcomed, not silenced. Graceful conflict resolution also sets an example. It shows others that strength is not proven by shouting the loudest, but by listening the deepest, and that winning an argument is far less valuable than preserving a relationship. Over time, such leadership creates a culture where disagreements are not feared but embraced as opportunities for betterment. Conflicts then no longer divide people, but unite them around higher understanding. This is the silent power of grace. It turns the very storms that could destroy into winds that carry everyone forward. Women who lead with grace embody resilience, showing that even in the face of adversity, one can rise without bitterness and move forward without leaving others behind. Resilience is not about never falling, it is about how one rises after a fall. Life throws challenges, both expected and unexpected, and leadership is often tested in the fire of trials. A graceful leader does not allow hardship to harden her heart, nor does she let pain make her cruel. Instead, she transforms her struggles into strength and her setbacks into stepping stones. She understands that adversity is not the end of the road, but a bend in the journey, guiding her toward greater wisdom and deeper compassion. When storms come, she bends but does not break. She adjusts but does not abandon her values. Her resilience is not loud, but quiet and steady, like a flame that refuses to die even in the strongest winds. And what makes her resilience truly graceful is the way she carries others with her. She does not rise alone, leaving people behind in her pursuit of survival or success. She rises by lifting those around her. In moments of collective difficulty, she becomes a pillar of calm, someone others can lean on without fear of judgment. This ability to endure with gentleness inspires those watching, teaching them that resilience does not have to come with bitterness. Too often, people allow challenges to turn them harsh, but a graceful leader shows that pain can deepen kindness rather than diminish it. Her story of resilience becomes a living example, whispering to others that they too can survive, they too can rise, and they too can walk forward with dignity intact. And in this way, resilience becomes contagious. People begin to mirror the calmness, patience, and courage they see in her, creating an atmosphere where even the toughest challenges are faced with unity, rather than despair. Over time, such leadership builds not just success, but character in everyone involved. Because while achievements may fade, the strength built through resilience remains. And when resilience is expressed with grace, it leaves a mark far deeper than any title or position could. It leaves a legacy of courage, kindness, and unwavering hope. Grace teaches that true power lies not in controlling others, but in inspiring them, creating an atmosphere where people willingly give their best. Control may achieve obedience, but inspiration awakens devotion. A leader who leads with grace understands that authority is temporary, but influence is lasting. She does not force people to follow. Instead, she makes them want to follow. When someone is inspired, they do not work because they have to. They work because they want to, because they feel connected to a vision larger than themselves. Graceful leadership is the silent force that draws out people's inner potential, making them realize they are capable of more than they imagine. Such leaders know that commanding respect through fear is easy, but earning respect through love, integrity, and encouragement is far more meaningful. By embodying values like humility, honesty, and compassion, they inspire others to adopt the same qualities. Inspiration is powerful because it lights a fire within people, a fire that no external reward or punishment can match. And when people are inspired, they bring their creativity, passion, and full heart into what they do. Work stops being a burden and becomes a mission. In this way, a graceful leader multiplies strength, not by controlling hands, but by igniting hearts. This atmosphere of inspiration is what creates unity, loyalty, and excellence in any team or community. People naturally give their best when they feel uplifted rather than controlled. They are willing to sacrifice comfort, go the extra mile, and remain steadfast in difficult times because they are fueled by belief, not fear. Grace, therefore, transforms the very essence of leadership. It shifts the focus from demanding effort to drawing out potential, from commanding people to empowering them. And when empowerment becomes the foundation, the leadership no longer feels like a hierarchy, but like a shared journey where every voice matters. That is why true power does not rest in control, but in the ability to inspire. For inspiration leaves behind not just results, but lasting transformation in the hearts of people. Leading with grace means carrying humility, acknowledging that leadership is not about superiority, but about service, lifting others as you rise. Humility is the quality that softens power and transforms authority into something noble. A leader without humility may achieve temporary results, but a leader with humility earns timeless respect. When a woman leads with humility, she does not stand above others to show her greatness. She stands among them to remind everyone that greatness is a shared journey. She understands that leadership is not about being served, but about serving, not about showcasing her position, but about uplifting the people entrusted to her care. Humility gives her the ability to accept that she does not have all the answers, and in doing so, She creates space for others to contribute their ideas and talents. This makes people feel valued, not just as workers or followers, but as partners in a vision. A humble leader does not feel threatened by the strengths of others. Instead, she celebrates them, knowing that every achievement of her team magnifies the collective success. Grace allows her to correct without arrogance, to guide without belittling, and to lead without making others feel small. Humility also gives her the courage to admit mistakes, which makes her leadership authentic. People trust leaders who are real, not leaders who pretend to be flawless. In fact, humility is a magnet. It attracts loyalty because people feel safe around someone who does not constantly seek validation or dominance. Such a leader does not need to announce her power. Her actions quietly speak louder than titles ever could. And when humility guides leadership, it transforms the culture of the entire group. Instead of competition fueled by ego, collaboration fueled by respect begins to thrive. Instead of insecurity, confidence grows. Instead of resentment, gratitude blooms. A graceful leader, through humility, builds a legacy not of personal glory, but of collective elevation, where every person she touches feels a little stronger, a little braver, and a little more hopeful. And in the end, that is the essence of true leadership: to rise not by stepping over others, but by lifting them higher as you continue to climb. A graceful leader knows how to empower others, celebrating their strengths instead of feeling threatened by them, and encouraging collaboration over competition. Empowerment is the essence of leadership that multiplies impact, because true leaders do not create followers, they create more leaders. When a woman leads with grace, she has the wisdom to recognize that her role is not to be the brightest star in the sky, but to help others shine in their own brilliance. She sees potential in people even before they see it in themselves, and through her encouragement, she nurtures that potential into confidence and action. Instead of hoarding opportunities, she opens doors for others, understanding that greatness is never diminished by sharing, it only grows. Her grace allows her to genuinely celebrate the achievements of those around her without envy or insecurity, because she knows that leadership is not a competition for recognition, but a journey of collective progress. Empowerment also means creating an environment where people are not afraid to take risks, where mistakes are treated as lessons, and where every contribution is acknowledged. A graceful leader removes fear and replaces it with trust, so that people feel safe enough to express their ideas and bold enough to step into challenges. By doing this, she cultivates a team or community that thrives on collaboration rather than rivalry. Instead of dividing people with comparison, she unites them through shared purpose. The beauty of empowerment is that it multiplies energy. When one person feels trusted and valued, they give their best, and this inspires others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of motivation. Graceful leaders do not cling to control, they release it wisely. In the knowing that real strength is not in holding all the power, but in distributing it so that everyone grows. And as those around her rise, her own leadership becomes even more impactful. Because her success is reflected in the success of many. In this way, empowerment is not just a leadership technique, it is an act of grace that transforms individuals, strengthens communities, and ensures that the light of leadership is carried forward by countless others. Women leading with grace bring balance, balancing logic with emotion, discipline with compassion, and vision with grounded practicality. The balance is the quality that prevents leadership from tilting into extremes. A leader who relies only on logic may become too rigid, overlooking the emotional needs of her people, while one who relies only on emotion may lose sight of rational decision-making. But a graceful leader has the wisdom to hold both together, creating harmony instead of conflict. When challenges arise, she uses logic to analyze the facts, but she also allows compassion to guide how those facts are applied in real life. This balance ensures that people are not treated as numbers or statistics, but as human beings with hopes, fears, and feelings. Discipline is another aspect of leadership that, without balance, can feel harsh. Rules and order are necessary for progress but when discipline is softened with compassion, it becomes a tool for growth rather than punishment. A graceful leader enforces accountability, not to shame people, but to help them rise to their potential. This kind of balance creates an environment where people respect structure, but also feel cared for within it. Vision too is essential, but vision without practicality can become a dream with no foundation. A graceful leader balances lofty aspirations with realistic steps, ensuring that progress is both inspiring and achievable. She dreams big, but she also plans wisely, making sure that the path forward is clear and steady. This equilibrium is what makes her leadership sustainable, because it does not swing with temporary emotions or rigid control, but moves steadily with thoughtful balance. Such leadership teaches people that success is not about choosing between heart and mind, rules and compassion, or dreams and reality. It is about weaving them together in a way that honors both. And when people experience this balance, they feel guided, not pressured, inspired, not overwhelmed. In this way, grace brings a sense of stability where extremes are avoided, harmony is preserved, and leadership becomes a force that uplifts both the individual and the collective. Grace in leadership brings healing. It softens harsh realities, gives people hope in difficult times, and restores dignity where it has been lost. Leadership is not only about guiding people towards success. Often, it is about walking with them through seasons of pain, confusion, and uncertainty. When circumstances break hearts or failures weigh heavily on spirits, a graceful leader becomes a source of comfort and reassurance. She knows that people do not only need direction, they need healing words, gentle encouragement, and the assurance that their worth is not defined by a single mistake or setback. This kind of leadership does not deny the reality of difficulties, but approaches them with compassion, helping people see beyond the immediate storm toward the brighter horizon ahead. Healing through leadership happens in subtle but powerful ways, in the way a leader listens without judgment, in the way she chooses kindness over criticism, and in the way she restores confidence where shame once lived. When dignity is restored, people rise with renewed strength, ready to face challenges again. Harsh leadership may demand results, but graceful leadership understands that broken spirits cannot produce lasting success. Only healed hearts can. Healing leadership also creates a culture of hope, where even during difficult times, people feel they are not alone, that someone believes in them when they struggle to believe in themselves. This atmosphere transforms fear into faith and discouragement into determination. And perhaps the most beautiful part of grace is that it does not just patch wounds temporarily. It inspires people to heal from within, to rebuild themselves with strength and resilience. Over time, the healing presence of a graceful leader ripples outward, touching not only individuals, but entire families, communities, and organizations. People who experience such healing carry it forward, extending the same compassion and hope to others, creating cycles of kindness that outlive the leader herself. In this way, grace becomes more than a personal trait. It becomes a healing force that uplifts humanity, one soul at a time. When women lead with grace, they do not just leave behind achievements, they leave behind legacies of kindness, trust, and values that inspire generations to come. Achievements, no matter how great, are temporary. Buildings crumble, titles fade, and awards gather dust. But the legacy of grace is eternal because it lives on in the hearts of people long after the leader has stepped aside. A graceful leader does not measure her worth by the applause she receives, but by the lives she touches. She understands that true success is not just about reaching milestones, but about leaving behind a path that others can walk with dignity and hope. Her grace becomes a guiding light in the teaching people that leadership is not defined by authority, but by the ability to serve with love and humility. Over time, people may forget the exact words she spoke, but they will never forget how she made them feel. Valued, respected, and uplifted. These feelings turn into lessons that children pass down, that colleagues carry forward, and that communities weave into their culture. A legacy of grace also means that her influence continues to grow even when she is no longer present. The kindness she showed becomes the kindness others show. The trust she built becomes the trust others extend. And the values she lived by become the values others live with. This ripple effect makes her impact immeasurable, far greater than any position or title ever could. Graceful leadership plants seeds that blossom in places the leader herself may never see, creating a chain of goodness that flows from one generation to the next. This is the beauty of legacy. It does not fade, it multiplies. And when women lead with grace, they leave behind not just memories of their leadership, but living examples of what true strength, compassion, and integrity look like. That is why the legacy of grace is one of the most powerful gifts any leader can leave behind. It continues to inspire long after the leader has gone, reminding the world that leadership at its highest form is not about commanding, but about uplifting humanity itself.